Hey guys, this is Max Headspace 9mm, and this is the review that I never thought that I would make. I got to tell you a little story about this gun. So I went into a gun shop and I was looking around at some of the used offerings that they had, and there was this CW 45 by Kahr sitting in the used case. And I looked at it and I thought, oh, that's kind of impressive. It's a fairly small gun, fairly thin for a 45. And I kind of thought, well, that fills a void for sure, because I'd always kind of wished that 45s were more concealed carryable. I love the 45, don't get me wrong. I mean, I shoot 9mm primarily, but as a defensive round, 45 is phenomenal, and I love to shoot it. But I just never really considered carrying it because most 45s are big and bulky, and it's just out of the question. The number of 45s that would fit into the concealed carry category is very small, at least practical concealed carry. And so when I saw this, it really caught my eye. I think the guy working at the gun store noticed how interested I was, and he really tried to sell me on this. One of the things that I was impressed by was the price. It was in the case for $240, I think, something like that. That's a pretty good price for a gun like this. And the problem is, I really never thought much about Kahr. I didn't know anything about Kahr, and I'd seen them before, but I never really wanted one, never really thought about it. And so, you know, I kind of looked it over, did all the usual things, and just didn't think much about it. I was getting ready to leave and he got a little anxious. He knew he had me. He brought the price down to $199. And I was hemming and hawing, and I really wasn't in a buying mood that day. I was just more of in a looking mood. And so, you know, when he left me alone for a while to deal with something else, I got on my phone and I looked online. What do these normally sell for? Typically, these are selling, depending on condition, anywhere from $350 to $400. So that kind of piqued my interest. I thought, well, I could always sell it, you know. Never really wanted a Kahr. I didn't know if they were trustworthy. It just wasn't a gun that I thought about. I wouldn't call myself a brand loyalist, but I'm perfectly happy when I find something I like. I like Glocks. I like Springfield XDs. And I like Berettas too. And that's good enough for me. So eventually I just started to walk out the store and he said, wait, and he came running after me. He dropped the price on this gun to $160. And I bought it because I knew that I could double my money. I have this unwritten rule that if I can double my money on a gun, I'm gonna get it, even if I don't like it that much. And this one actually I kinda like. So what I did was I took it out. I decided to try it, and this gun ran phenomenally. It shoots anything. It's especially good with defensive loads. Very good for concealed carry. You know, when you got a high pressure hollow point in the pipe, that usually is pretty snappy with a small light gun like this, but not this. This handled it like a pro. And it has been 100% reliable for me the entire time I've had it, which is about 2 years now. I've carried this. I got myself a Kydex holster for it. This was like $30 online. It's been fantastic. It's very easy to carry, and I love it. Now, I'll tell you something that a lot of people don't know about Kahrs, at least this model of Kahr. This will use 1911 magazines. So you think about this, it has basically the capacity of a 1911, but it's very thin. It's very, excuse my hands, I work for a living. I don't make enough money off of YouTube to be able to survive, so I work for a living. But this is much smaller. It's about 1 inch less in length and less this way than a 1911. And is considerably lighter than a 1911, and it just doesn't have all the protuberances that a 1911 has. It has some interesting sights here. You just basically line them up. Very simple, works just fine. Simple gun, and it has been fantastic for me. I absolutely love this gun. So I'm kind of a fan of Kahr. They're sort of a sleeper. It's easy to carry. If you can find one of these, I would highly recommend it. You can get 1911 magazines anywhere, and even extendos, you know, so you can go high capacity with your backup magazines. And it's just been a fantastic gun. I took this gun apart, and I will say, it's got a stiff spring, really stiff spring. But when I take this apart, I'm really impressed with the workmanship and the quality of materials. It's a well-made gun, and it's very simple. The parts in this, there's actually fewer parts in this than a Glock. So simple is good. Simple is actually really good. And the one thing I will tell you that I learned from a gunsmith is this panel right here is kind of like a revolver, you know, it hides the works inside that you really shouldn't have to mess with. But if you find one of these used, be careful about it. If it looks like this has been taken off and the screw is stripped out or something, avoid it. That's the one downside of this gun. This screw screws into plastic, and that's what holds this cover on. And that's not a big deal because that's just an access cover. It doesn't do anything otherwise. But if you strip out that screw, if a person's not careful, then you got to use some kind of an adhesive, Loctite or whatever to hold it in. And it's the one part of this design that I would say is to watch out for. But functionally speaking, it's a fantastic gun and it works great. I love it. It's very small to carry, very comfortable, very easy to draw. And here is the interesting part, the trigger. Now the trigger is different. Most of the time, the guns that I have for carry have a dingus, a trigger safety. This does not. It has a very smooth, ergonomic, comfortable trigger. And it works different than all the other triggers that I have. So I didn't know if I was going to like it. But you have a little bit of play, and then you come up against a wall. And then you have a long, fairly heavy, sweepy trigger. And then the brake at the back. And then the reset is all the way up here. And then, of course, it's a long, heavy, sweepy pull. And I didn't think I would like that, but after a few range sessions, I really got used to it. I can rapid fire with this, and it is the smoothest trigger I have ever felt. There is not one hint of grit or grab anywhere in this trigger. It just glides. So it's pretty easy to get used to, and I wouldn't let the different triggers stop me from investing in this gun. And I will say that for a defensive carry piece, there's a very good reason for that trigger being like that. So you'll get used to it quickly if you go out and shoot with it. If there's a range somewhere that'll rent you one of these, I think you'll realize its potential pretty quickly. So anyway, this is the gun I never thought I would buy, never thought I would like, never thought I would want, and never thought I would review. And this is Max Headspace 9mm. Have a good one.